You're listening to Miner Talk on demand exclusively on 600 ESPN El Paso. Stay up to date with Miner Talk by downloading the free 600 ESPN El Paso mobile app. Well, it's the off season, and UTEP men's basketball has now rounded out their 2022-2023 roster, and so now it's time for an off-season check-in. We wish we had this podcast up a lot earlier, but because of the timing, because UTEP still had to, fill out some scholarships, we held off on this one right here. My special thanks to UTEP head coach Joe Golding for getting a chance to do this with us. He was great in this whole conversation. We talk about everything in this conversation. We talk about the roster turnover from last year. We talk about building a whole new team this year and the recruits that he specifically wanted to go after. Joe Golding gives us insight on who they missed out on in the recruiting process, which I found very interesting to kind of talk about. And then he talks about staff changes that, it's going to sound like breaking news because it really is. We hadn't really heard about a lot of these staff changes that have gone on internally with the UTEP men's basketball program. And then finally, we close things out talking schedule making. A lot of great insight that UTEP head coach Joe Golding provides to us, and we are really excited about this conversation coming up here on the Miner Talk Podcast. Check out the Miner Talk Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out. And the Miner Talk Podcast is brought to you by the Oscar Arieta Agency. Recently, I moved into my new house. I called up Oscar Arieta Agency, and I asked them about bundling my home insurance with my auto insurance. They made things easy for me and helped me save in the long run. You could do that too with the Oscar Arieta Agency. Bundle and save with home, auto, and life insurance. They even offer bundling for renters and auto insurance as well. Contact the Oscar Arieta Agency today at 915-400-6000. That's 915-400-6000, or go online to oscararietaagency.com. And without further ado, here's the podcast. All right, welcome back to the Miner Talk Podcast. Adrian Broadus here, along with UTEP head coach Joe Golding. We're getting ready for the off-season. Coach just finished up rounding out his roster. Coach, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Glad to join you.
Coach, the last time that you joined us on our radio show, you told us that, you actually told Voice of the Miners, John Teicher, the change would be coming. And I think that's where we could start off the podcast today, just talking about the change that has gone on within this program. I mean, can you just speak to all the change that has gone on?
Yeah, a year ago, we had a bunch of guys back, and we were recruiting kind of the roster that was here, and we were able to salvage it and bring a bunch of those guys back. And when you look back, we brought 4 starters back that played over 30 minutes a game with JB, Sule, Titus, and Keontae, and that was obviously huge for us. It was a big part of the plan that we had when we got the job, and we were able to do it. And thankful for those guys for trusting us to play a year with us, and then we were able to bring back some guys that had played some roles, with Christian Agnew and Z. Maybe 1 or 2 more I'm forgetting, but and then recruiting was tough because when you're navigating recruiting, we got the job a little late, and then when you have 4 guys that played over 30 minutes, guys in the portal or JUCO guys are looking to go to places they can play, and when you have 4 guys coming back that played over 30 minutes a game and started every game, the opportunity wasn't really there, except for being kind of a role player, a guy that was going to be on limited minutes, and so. That's kind of what happened, and then obviously we went through the year, and I could tell, as we got close to the end of the year that change was coming. I could tell by the way the opportunities. When you look, Sule graduated at Christmas, Keontae graduated in the spring. JB's always wanted to be a pro basketball player. It's been a dream of his since he was really, really little. And then Titus had graduated the year before and had been at grad school. And that group had been together for 3 years. Some of them have been on this campus 4 years. And so you knew change was on the horizon, and we knew that. And so we knew there was a lot of work, but at the same time, we wanted to finish the year and celebrate the year. But behind the scenes, we were obviously working really hard on recruiting and knew that the next 2 months was going to be long for us here because we were going to turn over our entire roster. And I think when you take over a job, 2 things happen. You either turn over the roster year one, right when you get the roster. I think there's a lot of coaches that do that, maybe do it on purpose, and then sometimes they don't do it on purpose. It just happens because guys just leave and go in the portal when there's a coaching change. And then if you don't, though, then year 2, usually there's a change, and so ours happened to be year 2. We were able to have those guys year 1, but I'm thankful for those guys, Adrian. I mean, we won 20 games. We won a bunch of games on the road. We did a lot of things that haven't happened in a long time in this program. And the reality of UTEP, even though some people don't want to hear it, it's been stagnant for a while. It just hasn't been on the upswing. And we were able to turn the corner a little bit and get to 20 wins and do some things that haven't been done here in a while. And I'm very thankful for that group, because we'll look back on this group hopefully in 3 or 4 years and say this was the group that stabilized it, that started the trajectory back going the way that I know all of our fans and donors and alumni and students want this program to be.
Now, hanging over this program, you talked about a lot of firsts that you guys did. Now, I guess hanging over the program is that big picture. It's that dark cloud that says it's been 30 years since this program's won a tournament game, and it's been almost 15 since the program has actually been to an NCAA tournament game. I mean, does that ever kind of cross your mind? I know you're building more of a program and not necessarily looking at the finish line, but does that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the ultimate goal, is to get to the NCAA tournament. But I don't wake up each morning and say let's get to the NCAA tournament. I wake up each morning and say, hey, let's get better today. And I think that's what we did at ACU, and you just try to get better each and every day, whether that's player development, whether that's better with the culture in their program, whether that's in recruiting, whatever you're doing, you're just trying to get better. And I think if you do that each and every day, and you have a staff that does it each and every day, and you have a locker room full of players that do that each and every day, eventually you look up in March and you have that opportunity. And we were closer this year than people think. I mean, we had UAB here beat. It just doesn't go our way. We miss a box out late and give up the tip dunk to go down 1 with 45 seconds, and then miss a wide open 3. But an opportunity to win that game. And then we obviously beat North Texas here. We beat Old Dominion in the first round of the tournament. We had the ball with 12 seconds to go against Middle Tennessee in a tie game. We're actually up 1 with 20 seconds left with their ball, with the blob underneath the basket. So we're really 20 seconds away from playing a semifinal game and being 1 game away from the NCAA tournament. So there was progress, and it just doesn't happen overnight. You got to get in the fight first, and we haven't been in the fight at UTEP. I think this was the first winning conference season we've had in 5 or 6 or 7 years, and so we got to get in the fight first. You got to get in the fight. You got to be competitive against the top of the league. And then once you get in the fight and you're consistently in the fight, you eventually are going to find your way where you're winning. You're winning the fight, and you're getting yourself an opportunity to play in that last game in March in Conference USA for the opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. But I think we're on track for that. Now, we made progress on that, but it's hard, Adrian. It's not easy, as much as we want to talk about it right now. It's a one-bid league. And so, you look at North Texas, man. I mean, I thought they were the best team in our league. They had won 14 or 15 straight. They lose to us. They go to the conference tournament. They beat Rice, and they turn around and lose. And they don't make it, and so it's difficult. It's hard to do at our level, but I think that's why you can't think so much big picture. You just have to continue to try to win the day. You got to continue to try to make the program better each and every day. And I think if you're doing that, you'll look up in March and be in the right spot.
When you look at last season, I felt like you guys had to go through the mud. Like you guys had to go through definitely a lot of adversity. Yeah. And then once you kind of got over that hump, I mean, you guys were reaping the rewards from it. And I think it all culminated on that senior day where I felt like you guys all got your flowers. Everybody was celebrating and cheering for you while beating the top team in the conference.
Yeah, I agree. We went through more last year than I think I've been through in a long time. And that's saying something, because the COVID years, But at ACU, we were very fortunate with the COVID stuff. We didn't miss a bunch. But, whether it was broken fingers, broken feet, concussions, food poisoning, I'm probably forgetting a bunch of other stuff that went on. It just seemed like we never could get in a rhythm. We never could have a roster. And I think it goes back to that Old Dominion game there, where we just played so well on the road after our loss at Charlotte when we didn't play great. But I still don't think that team really thought they could win. And when we went to Old Dominion and we got that win, and the way we got that win, we had the lead, we controlled the game, then we lost the lead late, and we were able to come back, and JB hits the big shot to send us to overtime, and then we control overtime and win. I think our season kind of took off from there. Number one, I think our guys felt like, okay, we can win, in this league, and we can win on the road, and we can win together, and we can win with this roster. And then I think from that point, the roster stayed pretty healthy from that point on, and we were able to kind of form our team with that roster for those 2 months. Obviously, getting Keontae back late threw a wrinkle into some things, but I think that was a big part of when our season kind of changed and adjusted. To that point, you go back to the Bradley loss. Here the close game, we were leading the whole game but couldn't get over the hump. New Mexico State played them really, really well here. Jabari Rice hits the big time shot late. Riverside game, we were obviously shorthanded. With the food. We were just winning one or two, losing one or two. There was no consistency. And after that Old Dominion team, I think our team really felt like they could believe that they could win, and I think our season took off.
So now you turn the page right after the season. You hop on a plane the very next day and you start recruiting. I mean, how can you compare this year recruiting to last year? Because I used the word stagnant. I just felt like the brand of UTEP basketball before you got here was just not good. It just wasn't seen.
And our
like
fans
the right
don't
way.
want to hear that, but that's the reality and the truth, And that's not a knock on Rodney. I don't think you've ever heard me say a bad thing about Rodney. Rodney and I still talk, and I'm very appreciative. Rodney left us a very talented roster here, and Rodney cleaned up a lot of stuff behind the scenes, whether that's APR and academics, and just did a terrific job. I really thought Rodney was close to breaking through, and then COVID hit, But the brand and UTEP, to your point, we haven't been in the fight in a while, and we got to get consistent around here. We got to put together consecutive winning seasons. We got consecutive 20-win seasons, and we've got to win games in conference play and have winning records. We were 10-8, I believe, last year. We got to continue on that trek of moving forward, but we have to have consistency with that. You can't have peaks and valleys, and so in recruiting, UTEP's not what even I thought when I got the job UTEP was. UTEP for me is, dang, man, it's Coach Haskins, it's Tim Hardaway, it's Greg Foster, it's Jason Williams, it's Billy Gillespie, it's Doc Sadler, it's Tony Barbie, it's NCAA tournaments, it's Sweet 16s, it's that's UTEP, and the reality is right now we're not there, and we got to get it back, and that's our charge, and that's what we're trying to do, and you got to get it back in recruiting, you got to get it back in your brand, you got to get it back in scheduling, and good teams wanting to play you because that game means something. They're not losing net points, for playing UTEP, and so we're navigating that. We're figuring it out, and obviously we're working hard to change all that. Recruiting has changed in general. From the old days of us going out in June and July and you're recruiting high school kids. I feel bad for high school kids. I do. My son's going to be a sophomore. He's caught up in this a little bit. It's not that he's a great Division I player,
I don't know,
but he's a good little high school player, But
he can shoot the three.
Yeah, but you get my, it's now the reality and the truth is if you can go out in the portal and you can get a proven kid that's played 2 or 3 years of Division I basketball and he's proven and he's played at that level, you're probably going to take him before you take a high school kid. Now we would like to put some high school kids on our roster. We got one this year. We've got some walk-ons. That coming in that are high school kids, and we're still going to recruit high school. We're just trying to navigate it. You and I talked off the record before we started this podcast, but recruiting a high school kid is risky right now. If he plays and does really well, does he take off and leave you for a Power 5? And if he doesn't play any, does he leave because he's not playing? And so in a perfect world, you want to develop high school kids, in your program, and each year they get better and better, which is what we did at Abilene Christian. So, we're navigating, we're figuring it out, but obviously recruiting has changed. It's big in the portal right now. If you want to win in college basketball, you have to be experienced. You have to stay old. You can't just be, youthful and young with no experience. You're probably not going to win in a league like Conference USA. And so, obviously our recruiting was aimed at older guys, more mature guys, to kind of keep this thing headed in the right direction.
If I'm a recruit, what's the pitch? What do you ask?
Yeah, the first thing we do is sell the history of UTEP. We show them
That's awesome.
like this is not. We're not selling you a fantasy. Like this has happened here. We've put 12,000 people in the Don Haskins Center. We've won a national championship. We've been to the NCAA tournament 18, whatever, how many times. We've been to the Sweet 16. We've had pros. We've had real NBA players play here. So that's where we start, Then we talk about our success. Obviously going to the NCAA tournament twice at Abilene Christian and beating Texas, that proven that we've been there, done it. I think we talk a lot about our wonderful university, the diversity that we have at this university. We talk about the weather. We talk about the beautiful city of El Paso. We talk about our passionate fan base. We talk about it doesn't rain much here. When it does rain, it's a darn monsoon. And it's just, but we sell our city, man. We got a great city, man. We got a wonderful city. And with El Paso and Juarez and just the passion that they have for Minor basketball, we're working on that. You go back to our crowd at UAB in North Texas; those crowds grew. You felt the energy in the dawn. I think for the first time in a while, there's older people whose kids now are in their 30s. That experienced the Coach Haskins days, and their kids experience some good times, and they want that for their kids now that are in elementary and junior high. They want their kids to experience that and what they tell. So there's a fine line between navigating the history of our program and then kind of a new era of where we're trying to get it back to. And so we do all that in recruiting, but UTEP's not a hard sell. It's not. Is our brand where we want it to be right now? No. Is our NCAA tournament success over the last 12 years where we want it to be? No. Is our Conference USA success probably in the last 10 years where we want it to be? No. But I look at it as glass half full, not half empty, and I look at it as an opportunity, and I think we're on our, head in the right direction.
You talked about recruiting battles, like getting in these battles and just trying to be in the fight with for some of these guys before the season ended, and you talked about that on your radio show and stuff like that. How did you think the battles went, over this recruiting season?
Yeah, obviously you're trying to get in the battle, and you're trying to get UTEP out there again, and I think Rodney, you look at Rodney, he came from Fresno State, and then he came here, so that we have a brand kind of on the West Coast a little bit because Rodney came from there. I've never really recruited the West Coast. I've been more of a Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma kind of guy. But you look at the brand of UTEP, I don't think it matters. I think you hire a staff and then they go out and recruit. Look at the back of the days of Chicago pipeline here, whether it was Chicago, there was some New York kids. Again, it's winning cures everything. If we can just be consistent and winning again, and continue to schedule some teams. I mean, you look at the opportunity that we're getting to play Texas. We're going to play the first game ever in the Moody Center. Scheduling wise, maybe not the best of schedule. They're going to be a top 5 team in the country. They return really, really good players. They return like 80% of their scoring, and they've added good pieces to it. But the whole week or 2 weeks leading up to that game, when everybody talks about the Moody Center opening and Texas, playing, they're going to talk about UTEP. So it's a great opportunity for our program to get a ton of exposure, in the state of Texas and right there. So looking for those opportunities and continue to brand our program in recruiting, I think that's what we're in search of.
What about your staff? How are they in recruiting this time around?
Yeah, I'm very proud of my staff. If you look at what I like, I like the undervalued kid. I like the kid that's very productive, but maybe not as the social media darling or the 4-star darling. I like the kid that's undervalued. I like a kid that has a chip on his shoulder. I like a kid that loves to work. He's coachable. He works well within a team. That's some. I always just say toughness. I like a tough kid. I love kids that played football, whether in junior high or high school, because they were out there. I love our football team. They were out yesterday, I think, running at 3:30 in the afternoon when it was 105 degrees here. But that breeds toughness, And so, to me, I always say toughness is a talent, and I believe that, And so we were looking for tough kids with a chip on your shoulder, overvalued. And I think our staff took that charge of what I like. I think Coach Cox was familiar with that because he saw that at ACU, and I think at SFA they were about that too. So he kind of knew what I was looking for. I think Coach Boykins and Coach Spriggs did a great job of taking my message and going out and finding those type of kids for us. And so I'm really proud of our staff and what we've done. We've had some turnover in our staff, and a lot's not public yet, but I can announce we lost Caleb, our ops guy, and so he went to work for BSN, decided after the year, and we hired Coach Cox's son, Austin.
Wow.
From Steve, and he's been at Stephen F. Austin as the director of basketball. So that's pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Have a father-son duo. I don't know how many there are in college basketball, but I'm excited about that. And Austin does a tremendous job. And then we just recently hired Ryan Stubbs from New Mexico State. Came over, and so I've known Ryan for a long time. He was at Hardin-Simmons when I was at Abilene Christian before he left to be a head JUCO coach in Colorado. And so we were able to bring Brian over, so I'm excited about those two guys. And then obviously elevated Spriggs to assistant coach. And Spriggs has been with us now 3 years and really understands me. And so I think we've had some changes with our roster. We've had some changes with our staff, but I think in today's era, change is going to happen. I hope to God we don't have to sign 10 more every year. I don't know how long I'm going to be in this business because it's tough to do. It's hard to navigate, and but I'm extremely proud of my staff. They buckled down. They got in some recruiting battles, and we won some recruiting battles. We lost some recruiting battles, but we got in some that we need to be in. And the more we're in, we'll win those. And then we found some kids that we really liked, and maybe weren't getting as recruited as high, in some of those battles, and we were able to win those. So I'm happy with our staff, where we have it right now, and I'm happy with our roster, and again, very thankful for what those guys have done.
I see you took a page from Dana Dimel's book and got a couple of junior college guys, huh?
Yeah, we did, man. We got 5 or 6 guys, and I think UTEP has always had a tradition, a history of recruiting JUCO guys. Go back to Billy Gillespie and Doc and Barbie and those guys, and so I think that's always been in play. And there's really, navigating this portal now. Everybody's living in the portal, but there's still really good JUCO players. And you look at like Derek now. We're getting a big kid that we can mold, we can develop. And he's got 3 years, because of the COVID deal. So most JUCO guys, you only get 2 years out of them, and it usually takes them, on average, takes them about half a semester to adjust. So you're looking at getting, hopefully a year and a half out of a really good JUCO kid. Now with Derek, you're getting 2.5 years out of him, So, and I'm excited. I'm excited about the JUCO kids that we signed, and I think our staff did a good job, and I think we'll continue to recruit junior college basketball. Coach Cox has done that for a long time. He's always been a junior college recruiter. It goes back to his roots. He was a head junior college coach at multiple places and won a junior college national championship. So he has a lot of connections, and there's a lot of people that trust him. And so we'll continue to go that avenue.
Talking about some of your specific newest guys, let's talk about Shamar Givens. He comes from Evansville. He's a double-digit scorer. Seems like a pretty polished guy who's coming into the mix right away.
Yeah, everybody's got to compete. We got 12 or 13 new guys. They're all competing. Who knows what the future holds, and everybody's got to earn something. But he was a big piece to this puzzle, and something we pinpointed in on him early. He was actually involved in the recruiting with Newton's brother, Jawan. They both played at Evansville together, and I think they were roommates, and Jawan helped us sell. Shamar had actually came here this Christmas and spent Christmas with Jawan here in El Paso, so he really enjoyed El Paso and the weather and was a little bit familiar with El Paso and UTEP, so that helped. But he was a big piece. I mean, you look at him, he didn't play on a great team in his career at Evansville. He had multiple opportunities to leave before this year, but he stayed loyal to Evansville. Through coaching changes, through losing basketball, he stayed loyal to that program, and that meant a lot to me. I think that's the type of kid he is. He's a very loyal kid. And then more importantly, he was a second-team All-League Missouri Valley player. He put up really, really good numbers against the top half of the league. They beat Kentucky, while he was there at Evansville. He's a point guard that can score. He can get shots for other guys. And then he's an incredible on-ball defender. And so he was a high-priority guy for us. This will be his 5th year of college basketball, so he's old. He's been through the battles. He's not going to back down from anything. He's seen it all at this time, and so we were real excited to get him.
You look at a guy from South Plains College and Malik Zachary. I mean, that you talk about a guy with the chip on his shoulder. That guy has everything to prove right now, and I think he might be able to do it as a versatile guy.
Yeah, really, really impressed with him on the first 2 weeks here in practice, and I was impressed with him in recruiting. We were actually recruiting him and the shooter that ended up going to San Diego. And the longer we kept going down to South Plains, we almost got away from the shooter and started recruiting Malik more and more. I loved his chip, and I loved his story. I loved everything he's been through, and he just wanted an opportunity. And you look at 2 years ago, he was one of the best JUCO players in the country. And so you look at him and Shamar. You got Shamar, who's got, this is it for Shamar. This is his final year. But then you got Malik behind him, who's got 2 years. And when I say behind him, who knows? We can play them both together as well. We did that at ACU. We played multiple point guards on the floor at the same time. But you look at how they are. You got one who's his last year. You got Malik, who's got 2 years, and then you got Jamal underneath, who's got 4 years. So I feel really good about our point guard spot. I was frustrated at times last year. I probably didn't, publicly say it, but we just really had JB was all we had at the point. We played Keontae at New Mexico at the point a couple of times when JB was out with a concussion. But we just didn't have any depth there. And you got to have, in my opinion, 3, almost 4 point guards on your roster. I love point guards. I was a point guard, but I just love their leadership skills. I love how they see the floor. And point guards can differ. Some point guards, look at Malik. He just gets so many players involved. Wait till you guys watch him. He just makes the right play over and over again. He gets guys shots and gets guys open, and he produces so many baskets for people. And then Shamar, can go get a bucket, late, but he can also create a bucket, so they're different in how they play. And actually Malik and Carlos, cross paths a little bit at Chipola. They weren't together, but the summer Malik was leaving to go to Buffalo was when Carlos was coming into Chipola. So, they kind of knew each other. They were familiar with each other. So, that was a group that we really went after. The point guard spot, it was a high priority for us to find our type of guys, and I think our staff did a great job in that.
You mentioned Carlos. I think listeners and callers had told us they wanted you guys to go with a big man or go a different route with that last scholarship. But I look at Carlos's story. He joined us yesterday on our show. An amazing kid, Carlos Lemus, who just signed and recently committed to you all. What could he bring to the table?
Yeah, so Carlos is recruiting, man. You go back, obviously he played at Southeastern and then he got hurt, and he was really one of the best freshmen at the time. And then COVID happens. Then he goes to Chipola and ends up, his first year at Chipola averages like 13.8 points a game, shoots almost 40% from the three, and a lot of people thought was Chipola's best player. Played off the ball and just had a tremendous year. I think they got beat in the Final Four of the national championship game. Wow. And so coming this year, he was one of the top JUCO players in the country. He's had to fight some things off the floor with some academic stuff because he's been in JUCO the entire time. But we were recruiting Naquan, and so as we were recruiting Naquan early, Carlos was actually hurt and wasn't practicing, but Coach Tyndall kept saying, man, Carlos is the one. I'm telling you, Carlos is the one. Carlos is the one. And so we just started building a relationship with Carlos, and we built it with him. And then the way his story kind of ended up here at the end of the day, he stuck with us the last month while we were working through some NCAA stuff, with some background stuff for him, and nothing to his fault. It's just that he's been in JUCO for so long and just trying to get some academic work figured out. And we were able to get him in school. And so we got down that last scholarship. We were looking for all different things, whether it was a big, whether it was a shooter, or whether it was the best player that we could find. And we were recruiting Joey out of San Diego. We brought Joey on a visit. He decided to go to UConn. And then we really didn't like the bigs that we were involved in. And at the end of the day, we loved Carlos. We just thought Carlos fit us. We thought he fit our style of play. He's got the chip on his shoulder. He's tough. He can guard on the ball. He can get to the basket. He gets fouled. He's got a great body. He's got a great motor, and he's a winner. He's won at a high level everywhere he's been. And so he was just our type of dude. And we're like, what are we wasting our time for? What are we looking for? Let's bring him in, man. And so I don't get caught up sometimes I think sometimes you do. I mean, you got to have bigs, you got to have size, you got to have length, you got to have some things. But at the end of the day, let's go get the best players we can for UTEP, and we'll figure out the rest. And he definitely fit in that. And we just thought he was too good to pass up.
An interconference transfer in Tay Hardy, that one caught my attention because I remember when he came here and when UTEP played, he was a solid freshman.
Yeah, priority recruit for us from the get-go. Spent a lot of time with him. Butch was recruiting him to start, and then Coach Spriggs took it over when Butch left. And we're fired up about Hardy. You look, he's an all-conference player already in our league. He's averaged 14 points a game in this league, which I think people know if you average 14 in this league, you're a good player. He was their best player this year, but he only got to play in 5 or 6 games until he hurt his shoulder and had to have season-ending shoulder surgery, and so he didn't play. So that's the only negative to Hardy is right now he's not completely cleared, so he's at non-contact. He's working out with us, but he's doing everything non-contact. We're hopefully in July he gets to go full contact and gets completely cleared, but he's proven himself for us, and then we love him defensively. I think he might be one of the best guards in the country at getting in passing lanes and steals, and he's so active in his motor. And where I've been impressed with him is his leadership ability. For the first 2 weeks here, he's shown great leadership ability. He's a talker, and with his injury, hopefully we can get the medical red shirt and he can have 2 years for us instead of just 1. So extremely excited about him. And again, like Shamar, they've proven themselves at a high level. And so it's a pretty safe bet that what they've done there, that they're going to be able to do for us or even more. And so excited about him. Won a national championship at Pearl River. He's a winner. The knock on him a little bit. Well, he didn't win at Southern Miss. Well, he won a national championship at Pearl River. So like the kid's won at a high level. He understands what winning looks like, and I know he's excited to get here.
You talk about going back to your comment on the social media guys to round out your backcourt. You do have a social media guy, Mario McKinney.
Yeah, we do got one. That's right.
He's the man because what he showed, coming out of high school, everybody thought he was going to be the guy, and he still can be the guy. guy, he also has a chip on his shoulder because he wants to prove that he can earn minutes and then make an impact on the floor.
Yeah, I'm fired up about Rio, man. I mean, talent is not the the question. He's extremely talented. He can play multiple positions. And you look at him this year, man. He's won. He went to the NCAA tournament this year. He won a game in the NCAA tournament. He understands his winning. He's been extremely well coached by Coach Jans. I liked him when we were playing New Mexico State. I liked him. I was in Vegas watching the WAC championship game, and I thought he was the best player on the floor in the WAC championship game. Wow. I think he had 14 points or 13 points against ACU in the championship game. And then he was able to play with really good players in Teddy Allen and Jabari Rice and McCants. He was able to find his role in there. Now, will his role be different at UTEP? I would assume so. He's getting older. He's more experienced, and I think he'll have a bigger role for us in scoring the basketball and getting to the rim and doing some things. But I'm excited about him, man. There's no secret. Coach Jans and I are good friends. We've known each other for a long time, and when he got the job at Mississippi State, they were obviously recruiting Sule Boom, and we obviously wanted Mario, and he told me, he's like, take him. I'm telling you right now, take him. He'd be a really, really good player for you. And so obviously trusted Coach Jans on that, and having Coach Stubbs here now. Coach Stubbs has been around Mario, understands him, and we're fired up about him. We're excited, and I told him we got one bad night ahead. We both go to Las Cruces now. It won't just be me getting the blunt end of everything. Rio will share a little bit of that. So, but besides that night, I think it's going to be great, and we're excited to have him here.
I think that's pretty cool to see the Battle of I-10 have a transfer in the mix. We had one from UTEP and Evan Gilliard a couple years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until it happened and it got mentioned to me. But it probably sparks the rivalry a little bit. But at the end of the day, these guys just want a place to play. They want an opportunity. And I think he looked at us with a brand new roster and 10 new scholarship guys as an opportunity that he could come in here and could impact our program. And we were excited that he's been obviously comes from an NCAA tournament team that's won a game. He's been coached up by Coach Jans, and I was excited about all that.
What kind of role is Jamari Sibley going to play this year?
Yeah, we need him to be good. He's one of the three guys we're bringing back. So we need some leadership out of him. He understands what we want and what we're about. He's been through it for a year. He's one of the three guys in that locker room that should understand us and our staff and what we're about. But we need growth from him, and we need him. I thought he was really good last year. I thought he hit some really big shots for us in big time games. I thought he gave us really good minutes. We probably didn't trust him enough, and not just staff, but players as well, and getting him opportunities to score. We think he's a double-digit scorer. I think he can do that, in Conference USA, and I think he will do that this year. We're kind of moving him right now a little bit to the wing.
Wow.
So we're moving him a little bit. We don't really have 1, 2, 3s, 4s, 5s. We call our guys littles and bigs, but I think he'll go back and forth a little bit. But right now in the spring and in the summer, we're playing him on the perimeter, and I like him. He's skilled. He can put the ball on the floor. He can get to the rim. He shoots it ball really, really well. And he gives us length and size. And defensively, he can switch, 1 through 4. And so, I'm excited about him moving to the perimeter. We'll see what it looks. And if we get in a pinch and we got to play him at the 4, he's done it before. The biggest thing for him this summer is just taking some leadership responsibility. He's got to put on weight. We hired a new strength coach in Brandon Decker. I'm excited about that. Coach Decker was with us for 5 years at ACU. I thought he was one of the biggest reasons for our success at ACU. I think he's one of the best strength coaches in the country. When I got the job, I tried to bring him in. We couldn't quite work it out in year one, but we were able to get it done here. So him and his wife Peyton started on May 1st, and so I've charged him with Sibley. Both of those guys, we got to put weight on Sibley. He's got to get stronger. He's got to put on weight. He's got to eat better. Got to put better things in his body. But I've been really impressed with him in the 2 weeks he's been here this summer. He looks like a completely different person than he did last year, and hopefully he'll continue to head in that direction.
What intrigued you about Otis Frazier III? First off, the 6'6" guy out of George Mason.
Yeah, just his athletic ability, his size, and the way he gets to the rim, and he's 6'6". I think he came to us on his recruiting visit at like 215. We're trying to slim him down a little bit. At George Mason, they played him as an undersized 4, and we're trying to play him on the perimeter, on the wing. So we're trying to slim him down a little bit, but we love his strength, his size, his athleticism, his explosiveness. He just gets to the rim. He gets fouled. He played real minutes in the A-10. He got caught behind some really good players and got caught in a coaching change and stayed in the coaching change. And I'm just excited. Anytime you have a kid that played, close to 15 minutes a game in the A-10, he still has 3 years with us to continue to develop. We loved everything about him. And then defensively, he's really, really good. He's got a big-time motor. He gets in passing lanes. He's active. He rotates. And then on the offensive end, again, he attacks the rim and he gets on the offensive glass. And so that was something we were trying to improve. We were dead last, I think, or close to dead last on offensive rebounding. It's something that we tried to improve in recruiting and tried to get better, something we're working on in the summer, and we think Otis helps us with that.
Calvin Solomon comes from Stephen F. Austin. Great ties with Jeremy Cox, which is awesome too. What does he bring to the table?
Yeah, obviously you mentioned it. Coach Cox knows him, the thing I love about Calvin, man, is he's just a dog, man. He's just tough. He doesn't back down from anybody. You can play him almost 1 through 5. You can play him anywhere on the floor because of how tough he is. I think he's an elite defender, and then he's learning to score the basketball. He can dribble and pass at a high level. I know that sounds like elementary, but for his size, he's very skilled. He finds people. He creates open opportunities for other guys, and he can put the ball on the floor and go to the rim, and he can attack the rim and get fouled. You go back to the game in Las Cruces against New Mexico State. I think he had 13 or 14 points and 7 rebounds and was a big reason that they beat New Mexico State at New Mexico State last year while he was at SFA, and that's going against who I consider one of the best players we played against all year in McCants. So I loved him when I played against him. I just thought he was one of the toughest dudes that we played against when I was at ACU. And he's a winner. He's won a ton of games at Stephen F. Austin, and he's been coached by Coach Cox. He understands our culture. They're very similar cultures at SFA and what we're trying to build here at UTEP, and so that was a no-brainer.
With a guy like Jonathan Dos Anjos, that's somebody who's been on your radar. He's been committed to this program for a long time. What is that? Does that play any part into all this?
Yeah, it was the first kid we signed, in this class, and so obviously we're excited about him. We saw his skill set. Again, elementary it might sound, but he can dribble, pass, and shoot at a very high level in that 4 spot. And you look in that 4 spot or big spot right there, you got Calvin and Jonathan, two guys that have, Jonathan played at Loyola Marymount as a freshman and then played 2 years at a high-level JUCO, and you got Calvin who's played 3 years at SFA. So we feel like we've gotten better at that spot. That's why we've kind of given Sibley a chance to move to the perimeter. And so we're excited about that spot. They're more our types of 4s that can stretch the floor, they can shoot the 3, and they can defend, and they can also create opportunities for other guys from that spot through their passing ability. We need Jonathan here. He's not here right now. We started summer. We're finishing up week 2 right now. We're halfway through week 2, and we got to get him here. He's still finishing up some stuff back home at Florida Southwestern through some class work. But the quicker the better. You don't want him to miss all summer because then he's going to fall behind. So we got to get him here. We need to get him here as soon as possible. But we're working on that. But as far as skill set, we're real extremely excited about him, and I feel really good about him and Calvin there.
You already talked about Derek Hamilton, but what has the progression been like with your other bigs in Zarek Onyema and Kevin Kalu?
Yeah, I've fired up about Z and Kevin. There's a big jump always your freshman and sophomore year, and I know Z will be his 3rd year, but he basically redshirted. I know he played a little bit 2 years ago, but last year was the first year he really got the opportunity to play. And then you look at Kevin, he played a ton for us early, and then towards the end of the year he didn't play as much, but he still got to play a ton, so he's got some playing experience. And then both those guys had a terrific spring. Z's really improved his outside shot. He's making 500 threes 5 days a week, and he's really improved where he can step out, and he's hitting the shots, and now he's shooting the ball well in the gun. He's shooting the ball well in drills. It's got to carry over, obviously, to the games, but we think he's going to be able to expand his game a little bit for that. Obviously, we all know his athleticism and his rim protection, but we need him to make a jump, and we're betting on him to make a jump. We need him to. We need him to be good this year, and I think he will be. And then Kevin, obviously defensively, he's an elite defender, rebounder, and rim runner, and we're obviously continuing developing him on his offensive skill, and he's done a great job. He's getting better around the rim, finishing with both hands. He's trying to expand his game where he can shoot, and is also working on his passing ability. Both Z and Kevin are working on their passing, and so I'm proud of both those guys. You look at the 5 spot, we got Derek, Z, and Kevin there, to start, and we're gonna have to get some production from those 3 guys. But I don't lose any sleep. I have complete confidence in those 3. Derek's on his own journey, different than those 2 guys. He's never been at this level before like those 2 have. He's 6'10", and I think he weighed 295 when he got here.
Wow.
So he's huge. He picks he picks the ball up like it's an apple with one hand. He has a hook either way. He gets through the workouts, which I'm very impressed with at his weight, but we're obviously trying to trim the weight off of him, and so we'll see how much weight. He's working extremely hard. He might be our hardest worker that we've had through the first week and a half, and he's got a great attitude, and we're extremely excited about him and just the size and the girth that he gives us. So all three of those guys are different than what they do, but I'm completely confident that we can get enough production, hopefully, out of those guys that we need.
Shifting over to schedule making, I know this is a big conversation. Multiple coaches at UTEP in the past have told us that this is a very, very tough thing to do at UTEP. Yeah. What has the challenge been like as far as schedule making? How far along are you all?
Well, scheduling in men's basketball is impossible anyways. You know what I'm saying? If you want an impossible job, go schedule. And then you throw the portal in there now, and now nobody wants to schedule until you're completely done recruiting in the portal because everybody wants to know what you have. So where football, like they schedule 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Yeah. I think women's basketball schedules 20 years in advance. Men's basketball basically starts scheduling in the summer, and so it's difficult anyways in it. But again, to hit on what we hit on at the very start of this podcast is we're trying to find consistency in this program, man. We want to continue to win. And so you navigate scheduling that way. Would I love to go play USC, Texas, UCLA, Arizona State, Wyoming, Utah State, and that be our non-conference slate? Absolutely, man. But right now our program's not ready for that. We've got to continue to build this program up and have consistency of that. So it was big for me in this scheduling to play home games. We're blessed to have the Sun Bowl tournament where we get 2 home games at Christmas. We're blessed to have New Mexico State so close by that we can play them 2 games. We're obviously losing those non-conference games a year from now when they come in our league. So scheduling will become a little bit more difficult. But you look at that, that's 4 home games. And then we looked around at different exempt tournaments, and I don't know how much the general public knows, but there's exempt tournaments where you can pay to get in. So, I pay $80,000 and I go play 1 game on the road, and then I get 2 games at home, which is kind of what we did last year when we went and played Pacific and then had Riverside and Florida A&M. You can go pay $80,000 and go to Florida and play in a mid-major. You can get bought. We could get $80,000 to get bought and go play 2 high majors on the road. There's all kinds of different MDEs. You can pay $40,000 and then go to the Bahamas, but you got to pay for all your air flight and travel and hotels, and so there's different. And I think they all excite me. I like them all, and they all serve a purpose. But I also think it depends on where your program's at. So I challenged our schedulers, Caleb early, and then when Caleb took the other job, Austin and Coach Cox, I challenged those guys in scheduling to see if we could, kind of the new trend for mid-majors is to kind of start your own MTE. And I just thought our program, man, what a great opportunity for us where we're at in year 2, if we could find more home games. We got a passionate fan base. We got a fan base that comes to the Dawn that supports our program. And if we could do it over a holiday weekend like Thanksgiving. And so I challenged them in that, and I think we're really close to wrapping that up and having the opportunity to play 3 more home games here over Thanksgiving break against really quality opponents. One won their league and went to the NIT. The other one went to the NCAA tournament. And the other one, I got a ton of respect for their head coach and thinks he does a terrific job. So 3 really good opponents here coming to our place. So you look at that, Adrian, you think, okay, that's 3. If we could get MTEs plus the 1 New Mexico State games, 4 plus the Sun Bowl, now we're at 6 home games, right? And then if we play a non, or whatever, you're at 7. And so we only get 11 non-conference games this year because we're playing 20 conference games this year. So if we're getting 7 and possibly 8 home games out of 11, that's really good. Number 1, we're getting to build our fan base. Number 2, we're getting to practice. We're not traveling. We're getting to practice with our team. And number 3, hopefully we're learning how to protect home floor. I was very discouraged last year with our offensive rebounding. I talked about that already. But number 2 was we lost too many home games, and we got to protect the Dawn and learn how to protect the Dawn and learn how to not lose at home. And so this non-conference schedule will give us that opportunity, hopefully, to play a lot of home games and to learn to protect the Dawn. So scheduling is very difficult. Each year it's different, and each year you're navigating. I would hope in the near future that we'll be invited to play in one of these really good mid-major tournaments. But to do that, you have to show consistency in your program and continue to score high in the net, continue to improve your net, continue to be a good mid-major that people recognize and they want you a part of their tournaments. And we're going to get there. But I'm excited, about our schedule. I'm looking forward to it, and I know we'll be challenged.
winding things down, just want to kind of touch on things you just hear on social media and stuff. Fans who are worried about losing as many players as you, what would you tell those fans?
Yeah, I'm worried. I haven't slept great. It's been a long 2 months for me. We lost some really good players here, and we won 20 games, Looking back, we should have just won 5 games, and then there wouldn't be any pressure. And this year we could just win 10. And then, but I like winning, and I know our fans like to win, and I know people are impatient. We want to get this program back to where it belongs, but there's steps to that, and hopefully we can skip a few steps, but we gotta be patient with it. And I'm extremely excited about our recruiting. I think our fans are going to love it when our team comes out. We've got a bunch of dudes that play hard. They're tough. They're physical. They got a chip on their shoulder. They want to play together. There's not a whole lot of egos on these guys, and I think it's going to remind some fans, possibly. I hope the plan, as my ECU teams kind of did, is remind some UTEP fans of the old days of Billy and Doc and those guys, and Barb. Just how undervalued and chip on your shoulder, how hard they played and defensively, and we have a little saying. We want to be the toughest team, the hardest working team, and the most competitive team in the country. And I think that this roster shapes that, and can do that. And so. But yeah, anytime you bring in 10 new scholarship guys, it's a nerve-wracking time, not just for our fans, but for me as a head coach. But I sleep well at night knowing what our staff did in recruiting. I'm excited through a week and a half of workouts. What we recruited is shown up on the floor, and I'm excited to coach this team. It's a new challenge. You would want more of your culture you established in year one in your locker room for year two. It's almost like we're starting over again and establishing everything over again, and we are because we only have 3 guys back. But that's also exciting. It also excites me. It's a challenge. I love challenges, and so I know our staff's excited. I know our roster's excited. And we'll be ready to go.
Kind of winding things down, second to last question. NIL, how much has that impacted college hoops?
Yeah, it's all over. Yeah, it's impacting. It's huge. It's you better embrace it, and you better find a way, or you're going to drown. You're not going to be successful. It's just it's not going away. The rules will change. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, and nor am I in those meetings to figure it out. I don't know what the landscape of name, image, likeness looks like 2 or 3 years from now. I don't know what conferences look like 2 or 3 years from now. I don't know what happens. There's a lot of change going on. There's a lot of talk going on right now with the whole landscape of Division I athletics. All I can do is again wake up each morning, and get better at UTEP. But what excites me is we got a passionate fan base. We've got a town that loves UTEP basketball, that loves UTEP athletics, and I know we'll have some people here in town that if they have to get involved, I think they will get involved, and we want to do it the right way. We want our players to do it the right way. We don't want to have anything to do with pay for to play. That's not what we're about at UTEP. We've never been about that, and so we want to do things the right way. Our players understand that. I understand that, but we're navigating those waters. Our university's navigating those waters, but I feel very confident that hopefully in time we'll have something in place.
Last question, Coach. Thanks so much for all the time. I really, really appreciate it. It's your second year in El Paso. What do you think? You like this
like
city?
It, man. Yeah, I like it. It's been a good year, man. It's been exciting. Our family's starting to settle in. The kids are settling in. It's becoming home for us now. It doesn't feel like we're on vacation, anymore. It's becoming home, and we're starting to get into a routine. And obviously, nothing's changed for me. I'm so excited, humbled, honored to be the head coach at UTEP. Is there a lot of work ahead of us? Absolutely. But I think we're heading in the right direction. I think we did a lot of stuff in year one that we can be proud of as a staff, as a program, as a university. And I just had my 360 end of year meeting with Mr. Center, and it was very positive. And finally that the trajectory of everything has been going down, and now the line's going back up, and that's what we want. We want that line to continue to go back up. And there's going to be peaks and valleys as we do this, but I can't thank the city enough. I can't thank the fans enough. I can't. They've taken my family in from day one, and they've been so supportive. And just thankful for all of it.
Thanks for all the time, Coach. Best of luck this summer.
You got it, man. Appreciate you anytime.